What is up, C Nation? Today is the day.
D-Day.
Here's your paperwork.
Sir?
Here's my paperwork. Now, here's the fun thing with today's episode. Today, we're giving the best to worst of the plain Outlaw dip on our chart from best to worst. But first, how about we go ahead and tell them what we're going to be putting in today.
So today I'm going to be putting in for my number one.
No, like what you going to put in first before we start talking about it.
Before we start talking about it. You gotta edit that out.
No.
Actually,
Blooper.
Fuck. So, what I'm going to be dipping today's, ladies and gents, that Outlaw's Yellow Blend.
And today, I'm going to be doing that Outlaw's Georgia Peach. Only 2 packs.
I don't know, I like to sit in a pack. Even though you don't need it. You don't need to sit here and pack for fucking ever.
Got us a nice size honker right there.
Try to get me the fat up here too. Not too big, but
Second pinch of the peach alone. Even better, bro.
Sorry, I just want to start dancing. I want to put this in.
And today, I am going to be spitting in the Dragon Ball Z Stealth Spitter. Get one of mudjug.com.
Today I got the classic orange. I got both my mud jugs over here. I just thought I'd mix it up a little bit and put a different spitter over.
But without further ado, I'm going to let you do the honors. What would have to be your number one Outlaw dip and why? And then I'll do mine. And I'll explain why.
Alright. So my number one would have to be what I got in my mouth right now. And it's that yellow blend with that beautiful design. First off, I just, before I even get to the dip itself, I love the design of the can. It's
with
perfect.
The pineapples
in
the back?
Yeah, and I mean, like, some people probably look at it like, why are you chewing on corn?
That's pineapples, buddy.
I mean, just the color, can design itself is just so appealing to me. But to get to the actual dip, what I love about it, it's really just, I love the very slight tingle, not even a burn, just a tingle. The flavor, it just resonates with me. It's my most memorable can. Literally, this is my first time ordering it since I tried it with him the first time. And this is all I've been thinking about since then. When I made my first order, I was like, fuck, I should have got some yellow. And so I broke myself, and I got about 3 cans. And I love the flavor. It lasts forever. I mean, I can keep this in for 3 or 4 hours. I'm still getting some flavor towards the end. I don't know, I just love it. And, you know, the watermelon starts out as everyone's favorite. That's been my number one the whole time. Up until I tried this.
Now you see why I wanted to get diverse into the series, so you learn there are better dips than what you like now.
Yeah, there's a lot of exploring I got to do, and just with the flavors we've tried in the series, still all-time favorites. Got to be that yellow
for the Outlaw season.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my number one was a hard fucking choice. 2 of them almost got the number one spot. But my number one spot would have to be that Georgia Peach. Because, yes, it is his newest flavor. This is a complete biased opinion. For the first formulation of a new flavor, they never got it so spot on the first try.
Nailed it, yeah.
And the sweetness of it is like amazing. The flavor lasts longer than some of the other flavors. You experienced that.
Yeah.
The peach, I'll admit it. When it comes to peach flavors, I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of peaches alone. But when it comes to like artificial flavored candy peaches, I'll eat that shit up. And that's the kind of feel it gives me, but with the hint of the extra sweetness from an actual peach. So that's why that one, my number one spot, most likely will be my everyday dip for the Outlaw dip. So Georgia Peach's got to win that one for me from a number one. So what about your number two?
My number two, like you said, for me it was kind of a close call. Honestly, it's really hard to choose between the two. But my number two, here recently I've noticed I really just, if I ain't got my yellow blend, I got some of that Lucky Lipper in there. I don't know. I was kind of raised on Mountain Dew. Of course, you don't get that flavor every time, but I still love it. It's savory. Your flavor hits as soon as you put it in. The only downfall to my Lucky Lippers, why it didn't get number one, is because it juices up too quick.
Yeah.
And it
runs out fast.
It runs out very quick, yeah. So, and I've noticed the smaller pinch you do of it, the longer it lasts. It's weird. If I put a honker in, it'll last me maybe 10 minutes. But if I put maybe half that pinch, just a little bit, it takes me a long way. And I mean, even when it's all dried up, I'll keep it in there just for the flavor. It's not as savory as the yellow blend, but it's still. I mean, I had an extra can in my fucking fridge, and I just couldn't help myself last night. I was like, oh, Mountain Dew sounds great right now. Let's get some margarita in my system, and this does the trick. So, yeah, Lucky Lipper definitely my second favorite. I'm sorry to my number three, which might be an obvious one. But I just.
But we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, I had to knock her down for that Lucky Lipper. So, what about you, C-Dog?
My number two was also hard to choose, but everyone knows watermelon was my number one from the get-go. But it ain't even in the number two spot.
Really?
Number two, this one was a little harder. The reason why this one was harder is because of how well I enjoyed it and the peach. And I enjoyed the watermelon. But my number two spot would have to be that backwoods blueberry. The reasoning behind that is because right off the bat, with the tingle it gives you, it kind of gives you that Mountain Dew voltage. Yeah. And then it goes down to that Frostbite Mountain Dew. And then it turns into that blueberry Dum Dum. And then as the flavor starts to dissipate away, it gets sweeter, kind of like when the Dum Dum gets smaller in your mouth. And that lasted me such a long time. I could not help myself. Like, it was a very hard choice between this peach, this blueberry for my top.
That's understandable.
So if I was to have a primary main everyday dip, sadly it'd have to be the peach. My backup would have to be the blueberry. But other than that, yeah, I know my ratings are one way, as you saw in the videos, but after thinking back at it and trying them once again in between times and enjoying them a little more, that kind of helps you realize a little more. If you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But without further ado, what would your number three have to be?
My number three, as I was talking about it earlier, I had to knock her down to that wild watermelon. And of course, C-Dog and Grease here, everyone's number one favorite for a while, till a couple of these new flavors came out, was wild watermelon. I'll just give you like the can. It's a beautiful design. It's classic. I mean,
and it was his very first ever flavor.
My first flavor of Outlaw ever. And I still hold it to heart, just like anyone does. I mean, there's got to be some sort of shadow list that people put the watermelon on just because it is so good. The flavor is good. They have changed formula a couple times. I honestly, from the first time I tried it and this time, I haven't really noticed a difference with the flavor change.
I have.
Really?
But then again, you haven't tried every reformulation of it.
Just the first one, and this recent one. I noticed the nicotine content. I don't know if had they added more or taken out, because I feel like I'm not getting any nicotine from this. To be honest with you, there's something there. I just don't get the buzz that I do from the yellow blend or the lipper or any of the other ones. But the flavor's still good. That's why it's my number 3. Because if I'm out of Lucky Lipper, or if they're out of stock of the Lucky Lipper or the yellow blend, obviously I'm probably just gonna get a 6-pack of the melon. Because it is that classic, it's a go-to. If it turns out you don't like the other flavors or something, or if you just want a good place to start, the watermelon definitely 100% recommend for a starter.
See, and for my number 3 spot would also have to be the watermelon.
Same.
Because, like you said, I've been through every reformulation of it. I've seen it at a very good point. I've seen it at a decent point. I've seen it at its lowest point, and I've seen it at a higher best point, and then lowered again. Like, don't get me wrong, wild watermelon has been my favorite since day one, besides the badass bourbon. So, if I was to actually have badass bourbon right now, and if it was to taste the exact same as it did before, but last longer, I'm sorry, but it would be my number 1. But because it's not, peach gets that. But the reason watermelon gets it is, like he said, the nicotine content ain't quite there like it used to be compared to these other flavors. Yeah. But the flavor is still good. So if you want a good beginner dip with a low amount of nicotine, get you some wild watermelon. And honestly, it's kind of biased opinion. If I couldn't get peach or blueberry, yeah, I'd get watermelon.
Yeah, it's a good choice. Like I said, it's a good starter for just about anybody that wants to get into it. Or if you're just tired of the natural, wintergreen, mint flavors, and want to try something a little different, something out there, then I would definitely start the watermelon.
Now, what would you have to do for your number 4?
My number 4, this one was tough because I was going between 2 of them. It's definitely the peach. Very obviously. Just give you a look at that beautiful can. I want to show you all these cans because they're all fucking beautiful. They're perfect pictures. Downside though, we do have the nicotine warning, but that's I guess necessary.
I'm gonna add killer filler.
Do some filler.
Filler.
Shit, I might just put some in here. We haven't tried that yet. Maybe we'll see. Stay tuned. It was. Like I said, it was difficult to put it out of 4 because it is so good. For a new flavor, like he said, it is spot on. I mean, when I put it in my mouth the first time, it really was just like biting into a peach for me. Like a natural peach flavor. And not a lot of people can get it right. Outlaw definitely got it right with this dip. Definitely good. It does last a good while.
Yeah.
And with each spit, it seems to get stronger and stronger, at least in my opinion. I do genuinely enjoy the peach. If we were out of stock of the yellow blend or the Lucky Lipper or any of my 3, I'd probably do half a 6-pack of Georgia peach and the other half of any of my other ones. So definitely a recommend. That he really gets the fruitiness down, like the sweetness is good, but really with just any of these fruit flavors, like the watermelon and the yellow blend, he gets the fruit taste right. Not a lot of people do that.
Yeah, and for my number 4 would have to be that southern sweet taste.
That sweet taste.
Because the reason why it had to be my 4th, because honestly, I was thinking about having the sweet tea at my 3rd. But due to the fact of watermelon being at its best at the moment, minus the nicotine content, watermelon still deserves top 3 at the moment. The sweet tea has gotten non-stop uphill. I hope it doesn't change. Like, if it does change, make it last a little longer.
Yeah.
Other than that, I had to give sweet tea my 4th place because it has that natural sweet tea taste. But as it dies down, it doesn't sweeten up, kind of like some of the other ones do.
Yeah.
So with that, it kind of turns into an unsweet tea. So that kind of ruins the point of the southern sweet tea. Mm. So with that being said, that's what got watermelon in third and sweet tea in the fourth.
Right, and just spoilers for my 5, just to move on to that.
Yeah, go ahead.
It was also the tea, just to keep it in the tea range here. It was my number 5. Because fighting the peach, it was kind of tough. It is a genuinely good dip. The smell's a little off for me, to be honest. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't smell like tea to me. Of course, the flavor is just like my mom's sweet tea or my grandma's sweet tea. Mm-hmm. But it does, after a while, lose a lot of flavor. You're stuck with very little. It does get bitter in the back of my mouth. I don't know about you.
That's why I put it in my 4th.
Yeah, I put it in my 5th. Any time I think of the tea, I think of the peach, and vice versa. Just because, for some reason, when I had the sweet tea, I think, which one did we try first? Did we try the tea or the peach first?
We tried the tea, and then the peach came in, then we tried the peach.
Yeah, and so, even before I had the peach, I got a very slight hint of peach out of this. So, thinking of that, maybe that's where they got the peach from. Maybe people were calling it out. I don't know. I'm probably the only one. I'm just fucking crazy.
I never got a hint of peach with it.
I did. It's very.
I think you're unless you were thinking about the whole mix combination.
No, I wasn't thinking about the mix. I just a very small hint. Like some sort of maybe not a general sweet tea, but some sort of fruity tea. So it made my 5 just because it doesn't last too long. The flavor is good. It's just not as savory to me. But it's still a good dip. Still recommend. Still a beautiful design on the can.
Now, for my number 5, it would have to be that yellow blend. The only reason is because when they announced it was supposed to be like a pineapple rum. Mm-hmm. You don't get the rum flavor, you get more of a pineapple-y citrus flavor. Yeah. And on top of that, I'm not really a big fan of pineapple.
Well, that's how it works.
But it did deserve the number 5 spot. And with me not being a big fan of pineapple, that's actually a big step up for my number 5. Because you'll understand once we get to the final 2 of my list, and I'll explain.
Yeah, I definitely get where you're coming from. There's no rum flavor. I just think that was kind of a good selling point. That you with the pineapple rum, you get the pineapple really strong like that.
If they would have had the tobacco blend still, and then did that, that would be the rum. The tobacco part. That'd be the part I'd have to say would give the rummish flavor. But they quit doing the tobacco blend when they released the yellow.
Well, what I'm thinking is maybe they tried the yellow blend with the tobacco mix before they discontinued it. Maybe that's kind of where he's getting that rum flavor from stuck in your head, Like if, example, when I tried the watermelon, it was still tobacco, and I still get almost the same exact flavor from it.
Just a little sweeter now than
way
it was.
Way sweeter it was. It just doesn't. Yeah. I don't know.
But what would have to be your number 6?
My number 6, man. I was kind of in a hurry, and I do like it. Number 6 is that Ramblin' Root Beer for me. I do enjoy it. It tastes just like root beer. I was really excited when this came in. I was most excited when this came in. Just because I had only had that first try when they, right around the time they announced it, I think. Tried it with him. Again, he's always been my outlaw dealer pretty much. Flavor's good. It changes on you a little bit. Like when you put it in your mouth, you sit there for about 20 minutes. At that 10-minute mark, it'll kind of switch from it's weird. I want to say it switches from one brand of root beer to another.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's just those root beer candies. Those old candies. So I love the flavor. it does juice up for a while. I noticed with the just with the drink, the beverage flavored ones, they do juice out real quick. And the flavor doesn't die on the root beer as fast as the sweet tea, but just like the sweet tea, it doesn't last as long as any of the other dips. And you do lose that satisfactory flavor pretty quick. So I don't know what the pattern is with it, but with the beverage flavored dip, I noticed the flavor just disappears way more than the other ones. But let's go ahead, because honestly I'm a little mixed on it. I feel like maybe I should have put it somewhere else. Let's go ahead and move on to your number 6.
My number 6 would have to be that Lucky Lipper. Because they always advertised it as the Mountain Dew flavored dip. Now, here's the thing. It is called Lucky Lipper. If you're having a good day and you're feeling lucky, when you dip it, you actually taste the Mountain Dew. But if you don't have a good day and you go to pinch it, you get like a Shamrock Shake, like you said, or any other kind of flavor. So it's like a mix in between different flavors in one can, but depends on your mood and your mindset, depends on what it tastes like. So in my opinion, with that being said, I'm not trying to down them. Lucky Lipper is good, but I'm not a big fan of it. But the reason why it's in my number 6 is just because of the whole differential flavoring.
Yeah, and I guess another downfall would be that it juices up too quick.
Yeah, it juices up way too quickly. It runs out of flavor way too quickly.
Fair assessment.
Now, what about your final one, the worst one, number 7 for you?
And I'm going to feel bad about this one. It's obviously the last one left. You guys can probably guess it. And it was hard to put it at the last, but mine's going to be that Backwoods Blueberry. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's good. And it definitely tastes like blueberries, but just like the Lucky Lipper, the flavor changes up too quick. For me, the flavor, I don't want to say it wasn't even there. It was just very faint, in my opinion. But when you do get the flavor, you definitely do start tasting that different variations of, the Jolly Rancher, stuff like that.
The thing about it is, when you dip these Outlaws, you don't want to spit or swallow it all the time. You want to let it juice up in your mouth where you absolutely need to either spit or swallow it. Swallow once and then spit the next. Then you'll understand where I'm actually coming from.
Yeah. Well, even gutting it, it was still kind of faint. I mean, I could taste it better because it's on the base of my tongue. But still, just generally dipping, even sitting it, it's just sort of faint for me. It's a good flavor. So far, it's a good mixture. I hope they change the formula a little bit to make it a little bit stronger.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a better nicotine content would be better. I don't really feel a burn with it. I feel a burn with the yellow blend, and sometimes a Lucky Lipper.
I know you damn well feel it with root beer, which will conclude my number 7, the root beer. And the reasoning behind that, one, I'm not really a big fan of root beer.
That's fair.
And on top of that, when you put it in, the burn is like overpowered.
Yeah.
And then you get that Brock's root beer taste. And then it goes from the Brock's root beer taste to that root beer candy. And then then once the burn goes down to like a slight tingle, it starts to have that A&W root beer taste. But the downfall with it all is, it changes so fast. It runs out so fast. It's the shortest lasting dip for me out of all the Outlaws. I'm also going by the longest lasting too.
Yep.
And peach is honestly the winner for me. where the worst would have to be the root beer for me. So, my honest opinion, I am sorry. So you had two guys' opinions here on the Outlaw dip chart. But I'll say, feel free. If you guys tried all these flavors, feel free to put a comment down below what you think would be the worst to best on your opinion. Like, help people out.
Yeah, and we want to hear everyone's opinions on it. You know, we're a community. We want to share each other's opinions, see if we can maybe catch the same flavor or catch on the same thing you're thinking.
Yeah.
But that root beer, it's weird. Like, it's good. I like it so much that I couldn't put it at the bottom. I do like it more than blueberry, definitely. But it's not a burn that you would expect from an Outlaw dip, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
Usually their burns are like very faint, not really much of anything. Even though I do like a good burn, that's why I got the yellow one. But it's more, I get more like a cope burn when I maybe not even that strong. Like any sort of school I've tried, there's not much of a burn to it. But there is more burn than the average Outlaw dip in the root beer. Maybe that's something they've been working on. Maybe people have been asking for it. I don't know. But hey, I'm not complaining. I personally like the burn myself. Man, I want some beer, I guess. But yeah, no, I like the burn myself. It's just not something you normally get from an Outlaw dip. So fair warning, with this new formulation, it's got a bit of a burn to it. If you like that, awesome. If you don't, maybe try one of the other ones. But I like it myself.
But yeah, I reckon this is Sea Dog.
It's Spook shit.
Catch y'all on the next one as always. Later.